Greg Bakun here. I've been talking for a while about how spooky, fun, and fascinating the Minneapolis trolley tours are, but now there's big news. The Candlelight Ghost Tours now begin at the historic Pillsbury Club, a beautifully restored haunted mansion once owned by Charles Pillsbury himself. Believe it or not, the interior is nearly 200 years older than the exterior. How is that possible? You'll have to come out and find out. Before or after your tour, stop by the on-site market featuring a curated collection of handmade goods, artisan crafts, and locally inspired treasures. Perfect for picking up a keepsake to remember your haunting adventure. You'll also find exclusive spooky merchandise from Tales of the Crypt and Elvira. Then, climb aboard the climate-controlled trolley as we travel through Minneapolis' haunted hotspots, uncovering ghost stories that locals would rather keep buried. The mansion is restored to perfection, and there is no better way to spend an evening. Visit MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for tickets and more information.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story. This is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. You know, this is a show a couple months in the making. And by no fault of Daryl's at all, it's been hard to get Daryl on the show. In matter of fact, it's amazing that he actually still had consented to take part in the program because of all the starts and stops that I've thrown in his way. So I really do appreciate it. Which Daryl are we talking about tonight? Well, I'm talking, of course, about Daryl Marston. You will have seen him on the A&E Ghost Hunters series, but he also just came out September 8th of this year. It's hot off the press. You could literally say that. The Horrors of House of Wills, a true story of paranormal investigators' most terrifying case. This is a brand new book that Daryl has written. And also, for us Minnesota peeps, the thing to keep in mind, too, is that this is published by Llewellyn Books, which is local to us. And Llewellyn, I've been a big fan of Llewellyn for years and years and years. We work with them very well, actually. And not only do they publish a great deal of paranormal books, but they also publish metaphysical books as well, witchcraft books, all sorts of great things. And they've been a very good supporter to a lot of the different witchery and other items around here. My whole library of paranormal books and metaphysical books actually have been given to me by Llewellyn over the past 3-4 years. So, you know, I can't complain. It's pretty good. So I'm very happy to have Daryl on with me tonight. Daryl, welcome to GhostBox Radio.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Well, it's a thanks for, like I said early on, thanks for your patience, because I have to tell people, I know that you're probably like, oh, come on, but it literally is like, Daryl very kindly agreed back at the end of August to be on the show, and I never wrote his name down on the schedule. And but you know, Daryl, I don't know if this will make you happy or this will annoy you, but you're in good company, because the person who actually took your slot, because I wasn't thinking, I didn't write it down, was Cindy Kaza, as it happens.
Oh, okay, very cool.
So you know, it was that night was meant for either your goodness or her goodness, I guess. So, you know, first of all, I want to get to, before we get to your stuff, we have breaking news in Bigfoot land, as Lisa Smith had a quick question for us. Now, Daryl, I don't know if you've seen this. Have you seen the latest Bigfoot video out of Colorado? Is taken from a train?
I have not.
You got to check this thing out, and I'm sure it's around there somewhere. It looks like a balding Bigfoot. It's like it has either a high forehead or it looks like the version that you see on the Jack Link's commercials of Sasquatch.
I have to check it out.
Yeah, right. It's like, okay. So I have seen it. I've been wanting to actually, Adam, who runs the board in the show Thursday and Fridays, he sent me the video, and I was going to take it down and throw it into an editing program, throw it in Premiere and see what comes from it. But man, I don't know. Now, Daryl, over the past, what would this be now? 4 or 5 years, something? You've had quite the journey, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been quite a ride. For me and for my family and for friends of mine, just running the gauntlet of paranormal and traveling the world and investigating places that you can only dream of investigating. Yeah,
man, a life-changing experience for you, and it's all been pretty good then, right? No.
I wouldn't change it for the world. I can't complain at all. I've been very blessed. A lot of people would love and kill to be in my shoes. So yeah, every day I wake up and I think, oh, I'm so tired. I don't want to do this. I don't want to travel. I don't want to go investigate this place. I just kick myself in the backside and say, dude, you're very lucky to have what you have, and get your butt out there and do it.
Well, but I mean, at least though you're owning up to human responses, right? I mean, that you're all human. Even no matter what the job is, there's going to be days that people are going to be like, I'm just not feeling it today. Do you, just kind of segueing a little bit into the book here, The Horrors of House of Wills, and it's a true story of paranormal investigators' most terrifying cases. Was this a place that you kind of were like, I don't know if I want to do this, or was that a gung-ho sort of situation?
No, at the time I didn't realize, what this place entailed, but it was the one location that I walked into that really changed me as an investigator and as a human being altogether. It humbled me in a lot of ways. I almost quit doing paranormal because of it, because of what happened there, and to bring that home with me, which I had never had happen before at that point.
So you got attachments from it. You got all sorts of things. Now, when did this take place?
This took place in 2014. Back in 2014, I had been investigating at that point for 10 years, and I run into a location like this at that point.
So this is before Ghost Hunters.
Yes. It's about 4 or 5 years before Ghost Hunters. I was just a regular investigator at the time. Running the road and investigating these locations on my own dime. And it was like, once, twice a month, I'd get out and be able to do stuff with my team. And geologically speaking, I mean, the House of Wills is in Cleveland, which is about 8 hours from where I live. So, it took a little bit to get there. And when I got there, I was sorry I did at the time. Yeah.
So what is the House of Wills?
House of Wills has been a lot of things. It's worn a lot of hats over the years. It started out, it was actually built by a 32nd degree Mason who was an architect back in the 1890s. And at that point, it was a Masonic temple. And then it became a German social club, a Hebrew hospital for a bit. It was even rumored to be a speakeasy at one point. And then around the early to mid 1940s, it became Cleveland's largest African-American funeral home, where it ran with that title for all the way up to 2002, when it shut its doors due to fraud. Then it sat for about 10 years, and a gentleman named by the name of Eric Freeman came in 2011 and purchased the property. And anybody who knows who Eric Freeman is, he's a high priest in the Church of Satan. He was actually a student of Anton LaVey's. So all the good and bad layers you have there, and then he started bringing his beliefs into the building with rituals and some of his symbolism and stuff of that nature. I believe it took it to a whole new level, that darkness. And that's probably why the place is so active and such a location that probably most people shouldn't be investigating.
Now, would you know if there were any records of any sort of paranormal activity prior to Freeman taking over the location?
There was. I've got witness statements. I've spoken to people who were there where Eric owned the property, some caretakers, and they said it was definitely active. It was an active location, a haunting, if you want to call it that. But they said after Eric took over the place, it took on a whole different atmosphere. Within 6 months to a year, it totally changed, where most of them didn't even want to be in the building anymore, and they wouldn't go there by themselves.
I suppose that part of it is when you're talking about prior to him being in there, that, yeah, there's spirits or whatever else, but it maybe perhaps when it got to the point of what happened to you, that energy that he and his congregation must have or possibly brought in.
Yes. And that's not knocking Eric. That's his belief system.
Absolutely. That's why I'm trying to be careful myself. Yeah. No, I totally get it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually friends with Eric. I had to get permission from him to write the book. I've actually interviewed him once or twice. I had meetings with him. As a matter of fact, I'll be with him Friday in Cleveland at my book signing. Nice. I believe his belief system and what he brought into the building changed that atmosphere. And I only explained the building when people ask me what it felt like to walk into the House of Wills for the first time. And the only way I can explain it is it's the only place I've ever been to at that point that felt like a living organism. Like it wasn't so there was, spirits there or entities, but the building itself was alive.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Now, did that take you by surprise the first time you walked in then? I mean, as someone who's never experienced that before?
Yeah, at that point, I mean, it almost, all the investigations I did before that were like, they meant nothing because I'd never experienced that. I mean, I just felt like a brand new investigator, and I was green. This is something I'd never, ever experienced, and didn't really know what to make of it at first. At first, it was exciting because you're taking on something completely new. And then it got serious, within a few hours of being there. And it wore you down very quickly. And not just me, the other investigators who were with me and people I've interviewed and talked to since and before that, who were there before and since then, have all had, similar experiences that I had.
Absolutely. Now, when it comes to that, I don't know. I guess the question I was going to ask you is, prior to that investigation, were you a believer in paranormal? I know you've said you're doing investigations, but I think there's a level of skepticism that people have, and there might be something that changes that. Did that change your belief system in spirits at all?
Yeah, in a lot of ways. I was always a skeptic, and I'm still am a skeptic.
Right. Yep.
But it showed me that there are darker forces out there, darker energy that inhabit some of these locations. It's not always the good spirit, the aunt, the uncle, the mother, the father who passed away 100 years ago. There's energy in these locations that you can't explain, whether it be human energy or energy that was never human. You can't put your finger on it at the time. And to this day, it's been almost 9 years ago. I'm still trying to figure out what happened there. And I think I've come to accept it. And it humbled me in a lot of ways. It changed my way of investigating, and it put me on a different path to investigating when I came out of it and finally got back into doing paranormal investigating, several months later.
We are talking with Daryl Marston. You've seen him many times on A&E's Ghost Hunters. He also has just written a book, The Horrors of House of Wills, a true story of a paranormal investigator's most terrifying case. We offer anyone who has questions for Daryl to go ahead and put them into the comments section on whatever Facebook platform you are watching it from. Linda had a question for you. She has a couple questions, but the first one is, Daryl, have you ever been to the Masonic Temple in Salina, Kansas?
I have not. I was actually supposed to go there in Salina, Texas. Yeah, I was actually supposed to. Was that Texas or Kansas?
Kansas, yeah, Salina, Kansas, yeah.
Yeah, I was actually supposed to go there 2 years ago, and I had a scheduling conflict. But I do want to go there. Yes. I know exactly what you're talking about, the place.
Yeah.
People have investigated the location and said it's very active.
It is very active. I've investigated there a couple times. One time with Mustafa, actually.
I
Was that the one you're supposed to be at?
Yeah, and I had a scheduling conflict with
Fear Fest.
With what? I'm sorry.
Was it Fear Fest?
No, it was. I think it was Jersey Para Unity at the time.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, it was. I mean, that is. First of all, it's probably one of the biggest places I've ever been in that allows people to investigate. I know like Waverly is bigger and whatnot, but I mean, just the sheer size of this place.
I hear.
It's off the hook, but you would really enjoy it. There's some
remember
stuff there.
Mustafa actually texting me while he was there and telling me that I need to get my backside out there.
Absolutely.
He was telling me, you need to get out here, man.
Yeah, no, you do. Let's just put it that way. You do need to get out there. I'm sure anyone who wants to put together an event, invite Daryl out there and get things moving. You gotta check it out. It's really good. And Linda also had a question. Linda's always has lots of questions for all of us. And let's see here. Let's see. As Daryl, have you experienced non-human energy?
Yeah, I did. I believe I experienced that at the House of Wills, and I've experienced it since then. That was the first time I ever experienced it was there.
Yeah.
Non-human. Some of it was human there. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It was residual. Some of it was intelligent, and some of it was non-human. But since then, I have also in different locations throughout the world and throughout the country. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, why don't we go ahead and do this? Let's go ahead and take our first break. When we come back, we're going to keep talking about Daryl's new book. We got to talk about ghost hunters. We also want to talk about your questions. There's a lot more coming up here. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakun here. I've been talking for a while about how spooky, fun, and fascinating the Minneapolis trolley tours are. But now there's big news. The Candlelight Ghost Tours now begin at the historic Pillsbury Club, a beautifully restored haunted mansion once owned by Charles Pillsbury himself. Believe it or not, the interior is nearly 200 years older than the exterior. How is that possible? You'll have to come out and find out. Before or after your tour, stop by the on-site market featuring a curated collection of handmade goods, artisan crafts, and locally inspired treasures. Perfect for picking up a keepsake to remember your haunting adventure. You'll also find exclusive spooky merchandise from Tales of the Crypt and Elvira. Then, climb aboard the climate-controlled trolley as we travel through Minneapolis' haunted hotspots, uncovering ghost stories that locals would rather keep buried. The mansion is restored to perfection, and there is no better way to spend an evening. Visit MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for tickets and more information. Have you ever met someone who not only can help you on a deep spiritual level, but also potentially change your life? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who travels the nation and lives right here in the Midwest. And she offers mediumship, mentorship, house and business parties, energy healing, palm readings, and so much more. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
Hi, this is Psychic Medium Deb. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Greg Bakun here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville. Greg Bakun here. It's nice to get out of the Twin Cities and take some travel excursion to some great locations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to theandersonhousehotel.com. And I hope to see you out this weekend at the American Legion 491 in Bayport, Minnesota. We're having Witchy Weekend on the St. Croix. I'm going to be speaking there Saturday at 5 p.m., but the whole event runs from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Once again, that's this Saturday, October 14th. And you can get your tickets. So you can go ahead, go to Eventbrite if you want, get tickets there. You can just look up Witchy Weekend on the St. Croix, or you could just show up the day of this Saturday and get tickets as well. Witch Jody, who we had on last night, and you heard her commercials just now, she's going to be there as well. And it's going to be a great time. So I'm really looking forward to it. I am also looking forward to this interview I'm having right now. I have Daryl Marston on, and you know Daryl from A&E's Ghost Hunters. But also, did you know he wrote a book, The Horrors of the House of Wills, a true story of a paranormal investigator's most terrifying case. It's available through Amazon. And Daryl, is it available? Do you have like a site that you like to draw people to, or Amazon good?
Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It's available in bookstores everywhere also. Yes.
And I just wanted to say, if you don't mind me saying so, Daryl, that I actually, if you go to ghostboxradio.com and look on Ghostbox Book Club, I have Daryl's book listed there, and you can buy it through there. It goes through Amazon, but we do get a little kickback if you feel generous and want to buy that route. Otherwise, Amazon works as well. See, I'm trying to make money off of you, Daryl. Everyone's trying to make money off you, aren't they?
Oh, good, man. As long as I'm making money too, we're all happy.
And trust me, the money I'm making from that book doesn't even really constitute money. I think that's it's like even like half pennies and stuff like. I think they're hay pennies is what I get out of the deal. Linda has another question I'm going to ask here in a second, but it kind of makes me ask this question to you. You know, in my years of investigating, I'm finding more and more people have very certain styles, not really a lot of individual styles, but people fall into different groups and stuff. What would you say your style of paranormal investigating to be?
Well, these days, I mean, probably in the last 4 or 5 years, I actually investigate as a complete observer. When I go into I do a lot of events and stuff around the country. I go in and I don't go in and I don't open myself up to anything. I'll ask some questions. I'll let the entities or spirits or whatever's there, if they want to, just start, communicating through just any, our devices that are laying around. And I try to have just regular conversations with the people I'm with to try to lure them in to have a conversation with us. So yeah, I don't go in there, kicking in doors and harassing or anything like that. No, or interrogating the spirits like I see at a lot of investigations.
They do, don't they? There's a lot of it. But when you say observer, though, it's more than that, because you are interacting, right?
Yeah, I'm interacting, but I don't open myself up to it. I don't open my my mind and my thoughts up to anything that's there. I go in as a complete professional. And I asked, I try to stay away from the softball questions. And, sometimes it's a little hard, especially if there's nothing happening. But I just try to sit there and I wait it out. It's like fishing. That's what I try to explain to people. It's investigating is like fishing. You don't always get something, but when you do start getting that nibble, or you're starting to get some feelings, or maybe an EVP here and there, then you want to pursue whatever you're doing.
It's interesting you talk about the softball questions, and I think that is something that I think a lot of investigators really struggle with, and I teach a class with my friend Shar, and that's something we always challenge the people taking it is how do you ask questions that are relevant but not obvious. Do you have any sort of advice on how you can think outside the box when you're asking questions at a haunted location?
Yeah, I always tell people, at these events, like when we're in a room and there's 5, 6, 10, 15, whatever, how many people are in the room, sit around and have a normal conversation with each other.
Yeah.
How was your day? What are you doing? Just kind of, you're having a good time and talking with friends. Set out some recorders and some equipment in the room. And a lot of times what you'll find is if there's something there, it'll tune in and try to, enter into the conversation. Sometimes I'll put out, false information, like, oh, I heard like 100 people died in this building when it may have been 2. And so they'll try to correct you. and in an EVP. I've had that happen several times. So like I said, I kind of lay back. I take it easy. I don't stress it, and I just let them come to me.
What I really hate is when you take, and I've seen this, I've just had this at an event a couple weeks back, and we were at a Masonic lodge and we're down in the basement, and somebody, after we set all the stuff up, someone asked the question, like one of the first questions, would you like us to leave? And I just looked at her. I'm like, please don't ever ask that again. That's
the question you ask when you're tired. You want to go home. Hey, you want to
please tell me to leave.
A piece of, oh, look, it went off. All right, we're out.
Yep, got to go. I didn't see it go off. No, trust me, it did. Yeah, no, I definitely, there's two questions I hate is, do you want us to leave? And do you know you're dead? Those, some really quality stuff. Not to say I never asked them in my time doing it. I mean, we all learned somewhere. But please don't do that. Especially at an event when you're trying to get people's money's worth,
Exactly.
As someone who puts on events, those are stuff that makes me pull out my hair. Daryl has written the book, The Horrors of House of Wills, a true story of paranormal investigators' most terrifying case. And, this book has been out for a while. How has it been received so far?
Response has been great. I get messages every day from people saying how much they love the book. I see them, people actually posting about it on social media, which is great to see. And especially when you're not asking people to do that for you, and to see that, and them tagging me, and and it's crazy because a lot of people were saying the same thing. How they sat down and they started reading and they read it over a course of the one night. They couldn't put it down, which is for a first time author, that's to me that's I never expected that. It's nice to hear something like that, and people saying how great it was and how it sounded like it wasn't over edited and changed around a lot and made to where it was boring or anything like that. Llewellyn did a great job at that. Really kept it. They kept a lot of it together for me, and the way I talk and the way I present myself, and they kept that in there, and which I thank them a lot for that. I really do.
I think it's great too that you focused on one case. A lot of investigators, and nothing wrong with it, but I normally what I expect to see is kind of like the overall journey of the investigator, going through a lot of different cases or whatever else. But I mean, it really says something about that experience that you had at the House of Wills, that it catapulted you to writing an entire book about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me to sit down, because what happened was, I never thought I'd read a book about it. But over the years, last 8 or 9 years, talking about it on, different podcasts and radio shows and stuff, everyone asked that question is, what was the scariest place you ever been? And that's the first place I talk about. And it got to the point where people started asking me, you should write a book about it. I would give them the short story course on a show, but you should sit down and write a book about it. So I'd never had time until COVID, and then COVID came along. So I said one night I just sat down and I started writing, and I didn't stop for over 3 months. And it was like therapy for me. Once I started getting into it, it was like rehashing it all, and because there's a point there where I didn't want to talk about it anymore, because it was it played havoc on me for a while. But getting it out and talking about it was definitely therapy for me, and to get it out on paper where I felt comfortable enough to talk about what happened and try to explain it to people, and people have accepted it and with open arms, and they're loving it.
Did you ever have, while you're writing the book, did you have any aha moments of something that made sense after all these years that you didn't quite twig until you actually wrote the entire thing down and was able to kind of see it from a different perspective, perhaps?
I mean, the really only aha moments I think I had from that was the fact that how much it messed me up, but also how much in the time, but how much it actually made me become a better person. And I look back at that, I'm like, wow, the way I did things back then, the way I carried myself as an investigator, and the way I carried myself as maybe a human being. And it really, like I actually, thank God for it. It happened because it changed me, because I don't know what direction I'd have been in. I don't know where I'd be right now. I don't know if I would ever made it to Ghost Hunters. I don't know if I'd ever written a book about it. And I don't think I'd be sitting here right now talking about it. So it was, it put me through hell for 5-6 weeks, but it was worth it.
Was it humbling?
Very, very humbling. I mean, I tell people all the time this. They ask me, what how'd you fight it? How'd you beat it? I said, I tried 100 different things, reaching out to people that I knew in the paranormal field, and them giving me advice. Some of it would work a little bit, some of it wouldn't work at all. But the only way I beat it was I found God. I found God in it, and that's what defeated it, the evil.
It was, I mean, and it's interesting about that, really, that you found God from doing an investigation in the Church of Satan.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Daryl. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I was commenting on what you said. Yeah, it took that to do it. Exactly. Yeah.
That's incredible. And the idea too, that, I mean, it's truly, that's truly a story of good versus evil, literally.
Yeah. It's very humbling, man. Very humbling. It like I said, it changed me completely. Yep.
Now, we've got some folks on here now saying, like, Carol's saying, wow, the book sounds great. It's always fun when people are thinking the crap that you've went through sounds great. No, I know what you mean. The Horrors of the House of Wills is available on Amazon. You can also get it through GhostBoxRadio.com, GhostBox Book Club, and it still goes through Amazon, but we get a little if you feel like getting the book. And I hope, if you don't go that route, folks, I hope you get the book anyway. Annette just wanted to say, Daryl, she's a big fan of yours. So,
Annette. Okay, thanks, Annette.
That's very nice. That's very nice. When you're talking, we're talking about the actual investigation. Was there one particular spirit that you think was really the one that caused you everything that happened in that place?
Well, I think not necessarily one. I do think it was what followed me home was more like it basically stamped me, or for whatever good reason. It wasn't full Monty. I don't think if it was, I don't think I would have been able to get rid of it as easy as I did, because most people who go through these attachments, it can get a lot worse than what happened to me. But I think in some way it marked me. I do think whatever's there's a hierarchy. It's kind of like there's a village almost of these spirits that are there, and there's a pecking order. And I think there is one there that kind of controls everything. I don't think that I actually had. I don't think it was that followed me home. I think it was something that wasn't maybe as strong as that.
A minion perhaps, or something,
or a portion of it.
Sure.
I think what happened was, I feel this way to this very day, 9-10 years later. I felt like, and I put this in the book, that I left a part of myself there and brought a part of it with me. And it'll always be that way. Because it's weird, because I'll go into these very dark locations now and not have any problems at all. It's like whatever's there at these other locations doesn't mess with me, because I feel like I've almost been like marked by what, like, hey, don't mess with him, he's ours, type thing. And I hate to say it that way, but that's how I feel about it.
So basically, it hasn't completely left you.
No, I don't think it has. I feel better, but I think there's always going to be that scar. I don't think it's there anymore. I don't think it's in my house or anything like that. No. There's always going to be that mental scar, that physical scar, that it's there, and it's always, it can always it can always raise its, raise its head if it wanted to. But I think I've been able to control it well enough over the last several years, especially the last 8 or 9 years, where it has no power over me, especially, with me, being, finding Jesus and, or Yeshua as my savior. I don't think it can touch me, to be honest with you.
When it lifted from you, was that gradual or was it literally like overnight?
It was overnight, because I was fighting this, man. I was fighting this thing for over a month. And when I got down on my knees one night. It was the last thing I did. I don't know why I did it or what brought me to it. And I said, I've tried everything. And I got down on my knees one night and started praying. And I tell you the truth, I was never a church going person. I don't go to church. I believe in Jesus my own way. But I got down on my knees one night and started praying, and I literally wake up the next day and I felt like a totally different person. And I didn't have that dark energy in my house. I could feel like it was totally different. Now, some of it might have been, me psyching myself out, but I do feel it changed. It started getting better every day. It really did.
That's incredible. What I want to do is I'm gonna take another break here, but what I find incredible about it is I kind of have a similar story to it, and I'm not going to tell the whole thing, but when I come back, I'm going to hit on it a little bit because there's some similarities. But we're going to talk a little bit more about Daryl's book. We're going to talk about ghost hunters. We're going to talk about your questions. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakun here. I've been talking for a while about how spooky, fun, and fascinating the Minneapolis trolley tours are. But now there's big news. The Candlelight Ghost Tours now begin at the historic Pillsbury Club, a beautifully restored haunted mansion once owned by Charles Pillsbury himself. Believe it or not, the interior is nearly 200 years older than the exterior. How is that possible? You'll have to come out and find out. Before or after your tour, stop by the on-site market featuring a curated collection of handmade goods, artisan crafts, and locally inspired treasures. Perfect for picking up a keepsake to remember your haunting adventure. You'll also find exclusive spooky merchandise from Tales of the Crypt and Elvira. Then, climb aboard the climate-controlled trolley as we travel through Minneapolis' haunted hotspots, uncovering ghost stories that locals would rather keep buried. The mansion is restored to perfection, and there is no better way to spend an evening. Visit MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for tickets and more information. Have you ever met someone who not only can help you on a deep spiritual level, but also potentially change your life? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who travels the nation and lives right here in the Midwest. And she offers mediumship, mentorship, house and business parties, energy healing, palm readings, and so much more. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
Hi, this is Psychic Medium Deb. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Greg Bakun here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville. Greg Bakun here. It's nice to get out of the Twin Cities and take some travel excursion to some great locations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to theandersonhousehotel.com. And I hope you join me tomorrow on GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. We're going to have on author C.L. Thomas. We'll be talking about her brand new book, so new that it hasn't even been published yet, but that's going to be happening here very soon. Her book is called Dancing with Demons, A Paranormal Encounter. I get a lot of people telling me we talk a lot about demons and stuff, but it's a very interesting subject, and I think education on the subject is always a very good thing. So we're going to be talking to C.L. Thomas tomorrow, and then Friday, it's Friday the 13th, and so we're not going to do Casual Friday this week. Instead, I'm going to have on author D.R. McElroy. We're going to talk about her book, Superstitions, a handbook of folklore, myths, and legends. And it's going to be a fantastic conversation and timely. And that's what we always want is fantastic and timely conversations. But we are talking with Mr. Daryl Marston. We're talking about his book that had come out September 8th, and that's The Horrors of the House of Wills, a true story of a paranormal investigator's most terrifying case. And I think, Daryl, I think one of the reasons why I think people should get a book like this is also the idea of, for all these paranormal investigators out there, and some who really do not have the experience that they pretend they do, it's always a good idea to see what people are doing, and also in a way what not to do, or what, if you do it, how to get past it, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I've seen a couple comments like that from people who posted stuff about the book online saying it should be in every investigator's tool bag, which is that's a compliment. I mean, like, wow, thanks.
Yeah, very, very much so.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that strikes me about this, I think everyone probably has a case like yours somewhere, maybe to varying degrees of how intense. But mine was over at Velisca back in 2014. And that was a moment that I had decided that I wasn't going to be doing this anymore either. And why I bring it up is it has those hallmarks that you brought up, this attachment that literally, like, it always felt to me like it was like just out of my eyesight, right? That I could turn, and it just stayed with me. It stayed with me for about 3 months. But, also, I'm not going to say it necessarily turned me to God per se, but I started wearing a rosary, and everyone at work started to wear a rosary because the stuff around them, they were also being affected by whatever that was. It truly was a dark situation. And, I think, once again, this is why these sort of books, and your book is very helpful, because when we are doing this, and it seems to happen when we're early on in our career, we don't necessarily have the right people to help us through.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I was lucky enough to have people that could reach out to at the time, because I had a network of people I was dealing with. But still, even, the things they were offering to me, like I said, it would work for a little bit or didn't work at all. And the only thing worked was, man, I reached out to the guy upstairs. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's fantastic that has worked for you. And, as the writing process, as far as writing the book, it sounds like you took 3 months to write it. And it also sounded like it didn't take a whole lot of effort, because you're just spilling it out, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm reliving it at that point. Like I'm that I tucked away or forgotten that were, rehashing themselves, which was pretty amazing to start remembering some of the things that happened, just the little details, like, the smells and the decay of the property and things of that nature, which just start popping, and you can almost smell it again. You can almost feel it again, that energy. And you were almost reliving it, but it was for a good reason, and I'm glad I did it.
Now, Annette had a statement. I'm curious if you agree with this or not. Annette says, when it came to you having having it all go away, and that's what happened to me as well. One morning I woke up and I was fine. That's why I asked that question. But she says, you humbled yourself, and that's what worked. Do you think that is the case?
Yeah, well, in a lot of ways, she's absolutely correct, because I humbled myself to God.
Yeah.
I knew at that point that I was not the end all be all, and I was a small part of what's going on in this universe. Yeah, just a glimmer. Mm-hmm. And for me to acknowledge that, that was my humbling, and that's when I turned to him, like, hey, man, I need your help with this one, because I can't. Because there was things happening in my house that you only saw on the damn movies. I mean, yeah, it was almost like reliving the Amityville horror movie. That's how bad it was in my house for a good 3-4 weeks, until it started to move away after I started praying. That's what I was going through, and I tell you, it's a very scary experience, because at that point you don't know what to do, because you're fighting something that you can't physically fight. I can't sit there and pull a gun on it and shoot it. I can't beat it up. I can't, kick it out of my house.
Yeah.
It's something there that, that you can't explain. And that was the scary part, because when it started messing with my family, it's like when I drew the line. You want to mess with me all you want, go for it. But when you start messing with my wife, my kids, then that's where I drew the line.
Now, Carol and I are on the same page here. What kind of things happened in your house, if we may ask?
I don't want to give too much away because a lot of it's in a book, but there was a instance when I was laying in bed, and my son, he was maybe two and a half at the time, and I was putting him to bed, and he used to crawling in bed with me at night. And my wife wasn't home at the time. She was the work she had was overnight. And I was laying in bed, and he was reading his Kindle or watching his Kindle. And I remember I'm just staring at him, like kind of laying on my side. And I remember him peeking over his Kindle, and I saw it before he saw it, but I didn't want to acknowledge it. And him staring at this dark mass in the corner, where the corner was a lot darker than the rest of the room. Yeah. And when I was laying there, and when he noticed that, and he put that Kindle up to his face and pulled the covers over his head, that broke my heart. That was like, okay, that's when it was your fight or flight, and I was fighting, and that's what I did.
Yeah, that's like that's too far, isn't it? It's way too far.
Yeah, it's way too far. You don't mess with kids. I don't care what the hell you are, who you are, and that's where I had to put my foot down, especially with my son.
So, we keep talking about dark stuff. Has there been a location that you've been to that the spirit interaction or something that happened there you would term as beautiful?
Ooh, yeah, there's quite a couple on filming Ghost Hunters that we did where it turned out to be a really great thing. I think one of them would it be Haines, Alaska, where we investigated the Halseyland Hotel, and we made contact with an entity or a spirit on the third floor of the Halseyland that had, that people were afraid of. People were running from it. The people who worked there. Haines, Alaska, it's a very desolate place. No one's ever investigated there until we got there. So no one knew how to, contact or deal with this type situation. And I think what it was, whoever he was or she was probably a person who worked there at one point, loved the location, and was just trying to talk to people. Maybe they didn't know they had passed at that point. And we made contact, and it's the episode you can watch where I actually caught the full body apparition twice on my body cam, standing right in front of me, and I couldn't see it with my own two eyes. Mm-hmm. And I just think it was someone trying to reach out and just say, "Hey, I'm here." I'm not trying to ski. And it was probably wondering why everybody was scared of it. And it was kind of sad, but it was also beautiful at the same time.
Absolutely. Have you had any family members reach out to you?
Yeah. This is a tough one to talk about. I've spoken about it before, and it's in my book. My son passed away in 2016.
I'm so sorry.
And when I was going to the hospital, I was at the hospital, and I had to go identify his body. And I remember walking down this corridor with my wife and my mother and my stepfather, and they were ahead of me, and there was a long corridor. And there's people in there, nurses, doctors, patients. And I remember for some reason I walked past this one room. I looked to my right, and there was a door that said janitor's closet, personnel only. And I don't know why it just stuck out of the 50 doors I passed. So we go all the way down to this. And as we're passing this door, I feel someone hit me on the shoulder, grabbed my shoulder. And I spun around. There was nobody there. I'm like, all right, it's just my nerves. Well, that's one of the things my son always used to do to me. He used to come up behind me and grab me on my shoulder and say, "Hey, Pop." So I didn't think about it at the time. So we get into it. We're talking to the doctor and the nurses and everything. And they said, do you want to see your son's body? And I said, of course. And I swear to you, we walked down that hallway again, and we went into that same room. they said janitor's closet. They had disguised it. That's where they put the they bring the bodies in for people to view them. And yeah, so yeah, he reached out to me. He reached out to me a couple times since then. Yeah.
Wow. I'm so sorry to hear that. I mean, there has to be some kind of solace, so with getting some of that confirmation. I hope.
Yeah. I've come to grips with it. It is what it is. I know he's still around, and I know someday I'll see him again. That's probably what makes death easy for me. It really does. To go see him again, seeing my dad, and a few other people that I was really close to in my life, and that's why I don't think I fear death. And when something like that happens to you, anybody who loses a kid, a child, it changes you as a human being. It desensitizes you in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like death almost doesn't matter anymore at that point.
Sure.
And that's how I kind of view it. Like I fly a lot, and I'm always thinking to myself, the plane goes down. At least I get to go see my son again. A lot of people that way, and it's a win-win either way. I get to spend the rest of my life with my other kids, and watch out for them. And if something does happen to me, I get to go see him again. So
absolutely. So what we haven't talked about at all, funny enough, has been Ghost Hunters. And there were 2 seasons.
Yes, 2 seasons of my show. Yes,
and those are available on Discovery Plus and also
Disney Plus. They're
Disney Plus.
Yeah, Disney Plus. They're available on Discovery Plus as well. Hulu. They keep re-releasing them on different networks. We were owned by Disney anyway. That's who we work for. That was our mother company or sister company, because A&E is owned by Disney. And then we also, the other company we work for, our production company was Lion Gate Films. Pilgrim.
Yeah, that's right. Now, Jeremy, who owns every DVD that's ever been manufactured, he'd like to know if the show will ever be on DVD. And I mean, if so, are you going to go back in time by 10 years and release some? I mean, I can't imagine it's going to be on DVD.
Yeah, that's not up to me, Jeremy. That's up to the powers that be, people who make decisions way above my pay grade. But yeah, I'm sure it will be. If they can make $1 off it, they'll release them. They just released it. Yeah, they've been releasing us overseas. Like we just came out, like over in some of the countries overseas. They just released us in Canada, which was weird because we were released in Germany and Italy and all over the place before that. So yeah.
And the thing about that's unfortunate, and you don't need to comment on it if you don't want to, but as I had been pretty close to getting a show on travel myself, that you do, well, you're on A&E, maybe it's different for you, at least on travel, you sign away everything basically, where they can run me, they could run a program with me 50 years after I die, and I never will get any sort of a residual at all.
Yeah, no. When it comes to reality TV, there's really no, there's no unions or anything like that. Not like the Actors Guild and stuff, because we're not actors.
No,
people that are on a TV show. But yeah, no. There's it's unfortunate, but they take care of you when you're there. We were taken care of very well by A&E. I can't speak for other networks, but I can tell you we were well looked after. They took care of us.
Now we just have just a couple minutes left here, about a minute and a half. Do you have any television in the works that you're working on, or are you taking a break from it, or what's your thoughts?
Right now, I mean, I'm concentrating on the book. I've been concentrating on it for year now, and I've just been doing my events. I've had a few offers and some things that have been very close to coming to TV, so we'll see. Maybe they'll right now I know a lot of people are shut down, all these networks that got bought up by HBO.
Yeah.
So unfortunate for a lot of people, but hopefully they get back in the swing of things here. And I know sci-fi is starting to open back up for paranormal, so we'll see. You know, anything's possible. You never know. It happens. It just like Ghost Hunters. It happens like in an instant. Being TV, I got a phone call one night, and I hit the ground running, man. About a month later, and I was filming.
We have very little time left, but I'm curious your thoughts on this. Is it addictive to be on a television show? Like you want more?
No. For me, it's a lot of work. You know, talking 15, 16-hour days, a lot of time away from your family, which sucks. But you do make another family when you're on the road with the people you find them as brothers and sisters, and you start loving them as much as anybody else. Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You can see the camaraderie and when people see each other at the conventions and stuff, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's always fun to reunite with people, and even people you didn't work with or you become friends with.
Absolutely. Daryl Marston, thank you very much. I really appreciate you on tonight. The book is called The Horrors of the House of Wills, a true story of a paranormal investigator's most terrifying case. Daryl, thank you very much for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. You can get the book on Amazon, and that's going to do it for us tonight. We will see you tomorrow as we talk to C.L. Thomas about her new book. Everyone have a great night.